The reviews are in, and we're going to tell you what they are. Welcome to the Cinema-Savants Review Show. That's Todd Vandenberg. I'm Rob Steele. He says, like you can see, either of us, it's a radio show. Not the point. We mentioned, kind of in foreshadowing, some stuff on the regular news show, which was this past Sunday. Still available on cinema-savants.com. Go back and listen if you haven't yet. You'll pick up on it, then come back here, or stay here and then go back and go, oh, that was the foreshadowing. We're gonna get to Todd's in a minute. We're starting with mine, which is where we ended the show on Sunday with rock star biopics, because we talked about the Bohemian Rhapsody movie coming up and the forthcoming Rocket Man Elton John movie. And I mentioned normally not the kind of thing I'm into. However, my favorite band, actually, they're not doing music anymore. They retired because, and I love you guys when I say this, they're getting older now. I mean, their first album came out the year I was born, and I'm old. So, I get this. But there was a movie that came out in 2010 called Rush, Beyond the Lighted Stage, which I think did a biopic the way they should be done, especially if they're still alive. I said they're not spring chickens, but they're still around, and they're in the movie. What a concept. So yeah, you've got Geddy-lee, Alex-Lifson, and Neil-Peart talking about their careers from when they met. Like Geddy and Alex met in middle school, and Neil came in after their first album because their first drummer, there are issues. Watch the movie, they'll make sense. I'm not going to talk about those. They get kind of sad, really. But it's the guests that frankly threw me off in this movie. I wasn't expecting people like Kirk Hammett from Metallica or Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails or Billy Corgan to pop up and talk about how Rush influenced them. Or, God, who else was in this? Sebastian Bach and Gene Simmons.
Really?
Gene Simmons came in and talked a lot about them because they toured together. And I tried to picture that in my head, and it never really worked. But you know what? Kiss and Rush on the same ticket, fine. They also toured with people like Boston and Styx. I'm like, wow, these are tickets I would have loved to have seen if I was more than 6 years old in the 70s. But they even got people... Geddy and Alex's moms are in this, talking about when they all met and everything. It goes through the entire, 40-something year career of the band, which had a lot of ups, it had a lot of downs. It talked a lot about the extensive touring they did in the 70s and 80s that I never realized. I mean, you hear about bands going out on tour, and they go to this city and this city and this city. And then Rush, Geddy was talking about how they were on tour for like 300 of the 365 days of the year. Meanwhile, my wife and kids are back home, and I kind of miss them. Can I go now, please?
Yeah.
Wow. So they did the work. And this ended up being a really good story. I liked it a lot. And I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or Hulu. I haven't looked because I bought the DVD back in the day. And it's still available, I'm sure, on DVD. And it's actually even a fun video, a fun biopic, because there were a lot of, in addition to the music, there are the occasional silly things that happen, because these guys have a really good sense of humor, which you don't necessarily expect it of a hard progressive rock band, but there it is. And they've gathered enough famous people to come in and do side bits. Because, when you see concert videos, they've got occasionally have videos up on the big screen, and some are created specifically for the concerts themselves. They had the kids from South Park introduce Tom Sawyer a few tours ago.
Oh my God.
That is one of the only times I've ever liked the South Park kids, because they started singing the song and got it confused with Huckleberry Finn. That was funny.
That's excellent.
So if you get the opportunity to see Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage, do so. Even if you're not really a big fan of the band, it's a fun watch and definitely worth seeing.
If you have Netflix, you can watch it for nothing.
It is on Netflix. Okay, good.
Or you can rent it from Amazon Prime if you don't have Netflix. So lots of ways to watch it, unless Rob will lend you his DVDs.
I will lend you the DVD.
Which I'm sure he would, to spread the word.
Absolutely.
And the gospel of Rush.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Actually, Jack Black even showed up. That one
That's kind of confusing.
It was, because I don't think of Jack Black as a musician, but you know what? What was it, Tenacious D or something?
Yeah, I know. I totally think of him as a musician. I just don't think of him as being influenced by Rush because he seems on the younger side, but
And yet
there he is.
So
and like you said, they've just now. When did they stop touring?
They stopped touring. I think it was 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Well, okay, I thought it was even more recently than that. So yeah, I mean, they've been
2020 end of 2015.
Yeah, they've been active for a long time.
Long
well
time.
Into Mr. Jack Black's career. So yeah, I can see that. Very
Absolutely.
cool. I'm so happy you had something fun for our listeners to watch, because
and I'm going to apologize for your movie now.
Yeah, I don't have anything fun for you to watch. Months ago, when we were talking about trailers, they had the trailer for the 1517 to Paris, which was at the time Clint Eastwood's most recent film. And as of right now, it is still his most recent film. He's got another one coming out, possibly even by the end of this year. I think it'll be next year before that hits. But the 1517 to Paris is based on an actual event. 3 buddies, 2 of them in the military, they stopped a terrorist attack on a train, which was the 1517 to Paris. They were bumming around in Europe and happened to be on this train. Terrorist is on the train. He gets out a gun, and then they stop the attack, which is great. Awesome story. Not an awesome movie. 2 big problems with this film. For whatever reason, Mr. Eastwood, who has been directing films since 1971, I think he knows what a professional actor is, decided not to use professional actors in the lead roles. He thought wouldn't it be cool to have the actual guys playing themselves.
In a sense, I'm with him on that, because that is kind of a cool concept.
It is a cool concept. It's a cool concept if you're going to interview them, but if you're actually going to ask them to act, it is not a good concept, because they cannot act. They're god awful. I could have done a better job, and I am in no way an actor. They were hideous. They're not actors. Man alive. How this guy, Eastwood, could watch the first of the Daily Rushes and think this is a good idea, instead of just shelving it and saying, the hell with this. I'm getting Gosling. I'm getting 2 of his buddies. We're going to make a movie, and it's going to be good, instead of this train wreck, pun intended, because it's mostly on a train.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah. God, this is an awful, awful movie. He's to blame, because he's the honcho. He's the one who made the decision to hire the actual guys. God, what a terrible decision. Another terrible decision, the screenwriter, Dorothy Blyskall. You look on IMDb, never heard of her before, and doesn't mean anything.
There's a lot of people we don't know.
Yeah, there are a lot of people we haven't heard of before. Okay, so on her IMDb, her mini bio, she's known for her work on Logan, Live by Night, and Fist Fight. And I thought, okay, that's interesting, because I know she's not the screenwriter in Logan. So I look up Logan and scroll all the way down. Finally, when you get to Other Crew, there she is. She was a production secretary on Logan, Live by Night. Oh, there she is. She's in Other Crew. She was a production assistant on Live by Night. And then finally, Fist Fight, the other film for which she's well known.
I haven't even heard of that one.
Beautiful work. She's a production assistant on Fist Fight. So she is vaguely connected to the production of a good movie, an average movie, and a crap movie. And this is on her bio. How she got the screenwriting gig for this is beyond me, because I don't think she could write a grocery list. The dialogue is so incredibly awful. It's absolutely terrible dialogue. Eastwood has gotten to this really strange place where he's very sentimental. A lot of his, like, he did the movie of Sully, which it's an okay movie if you haven't heard the story at all, but it's a pretty crap movie if you know anything about the story, because it just recounts the story.
And
like
that one came out too quick. That came out way too quick. It was still on CNN when the movie came out.
Basically, yeah. And you had mentioned on Sunday Show talking about Tom Hanks in another role and said, he's in Sully, and it's like, he's good in the role for what he's given, but he's not really given anything to do. That Sully is just there, and he's this stoic guy, and it's like, okay, great. That's a boring movie. But it's a feel-good movie, and he's gotten into this bizarre trap of making utter crap. Not that Sully's utter crap, it's just not good. This is utter crap, though. There are 2 professional actors. Judy Greer plays one of the moms. Jenna Fisher plays one of the other moms. They're both fairly good, given the horrible lines they have. This happens within 7 minutes of the movie, maybe. They have flashbacks with the 3 kids growing up, because they're all buddies growing up. They're in 4th, 5th grade, something like that. And one of them, they're all three kind of in trouble off and on, and they're in the principal's office. And the principal is telling one of the moms, is like, oh, well, this is what her statistics show, and this is going to be difficult. Actually, at this point, it was the teacher. And one of the lines is, my God is bigger than your statistics. I'm like, okay.
No.
Yeah. I don't care if the woman actually said that. That's hideous that you're going to put that in a movie. Like, really? This is where we're going with? Now we're making this a Christian theme anti-terrorist movie. It's like, stop with this bullshit crap. This is hideous. The kids were not very good. I'm assuming they're professional actors. I don't think it went back in time and actually got these guys when they were children and cast them. But they're much better than the actual adults. The only two things that are remotely salvageable is the actual attack sequence, which is fairly well staged. I mean, Eastwood's been around action scenes for decades, so he ought to know how to stage an action sequence.
He came with the original camera, you'd think.
Yeah, I would think so. So that was fairly well done. But the only part that's remotely entertaining is the actual award ceremony with the guys. They have footage of that actual ceremony, and they intercut it with their actual parents. The actual moms are there. And then they go back, and there's Judy Greer and Jenna Fisher standing off on the side, which is kind of a weird jump because they jump between the two. And it's like, I'm not quite sure why he made that decision, because I guess it's just to remind you, yeah, this really happened. It's like, yeah, we know it really happened. Thanks, Clint. That's very touching. That's cool. That has nothing to do with a movie. It's the actual event.
Yeah.
It would have been, I don't know. There's no point to making this movie because it's just terrible. It makes them appear to be just really boring guys. About a third of the movie is the flashbacks of them being kids, being kids, being goofing around and being in trouble, and it's not particularly entertaining. And another third is them goofing around in Europe on their little travelogue, and it's about as entertaining as watching three guys that you don't know go out and go to a bar and dance and look at, pictures of, oh, look, that's cool. Maybe we should go to Rome. No, let's not go to Rome. Maybe we should go to Paris. It's like, geez. It's mind-boggling that he thought this was entertaining. And it makes me so sad because he's done some absolutely amazing movies in his career. I mean, he really has. But he's just gone off the frickin' deep end.
Well, it was started when he talked to that empty chair.
Yeah, I do think it started with that. I mean, Gran Torino, to me, is a great movie. He started losing it to me with Hereafter. Hereafter is interesting, but it's such a sentimental thing of like, oh, it's such a feel-good movie. An American Sniper is just such a jingoistic rally around the flag thing. It's kind of sickening. Doesn't have a whole lot of bearing with what the guy was actually like. And Sully, like you said, is basically, oh, look, I saw that happen 2 hours ago on CNN. Why am I watching this again? And now here, at least it was well made. 1517 to Paris is just trash. I mean, I can't believe that it's that much worse than the trailer, but it is. And that's all on him. He was the one who decided to use the real guys, which lends absolutely nothing to the movie other than the fact that, God, these guys are terrible. They can't even play themselves. So go watch an apple rot on your windowsill for 2 hours. You'd be more entertained than watching the 1517 to Paris. And I really hope that his next movie is back on form, because if it's not, they need to take away the keys to the production shed and retire him. Because
it's called Mule. It's supposed to be out next year, and it stars Bradley Cooper.
Oh, well, there we go. He actually has an actor again who he worked with in American Sniper. So, I'm glad he has another movie, because if this was his last movie, man alive, that would be hideous.
But Bradley Cooper stars as the chair.
That would work. I would just as soon see that. Bradley Cooper has a movie coming out, which we didn't mention on Sunday's show, but the trailers for A Star is Born looks terrific. Really excited for that, and that's his directorial debut. So maybe next week after that, we can talk about that, because that's actually coming out soon. So a bit of a palate cleanser from the horror show that is the 1517 to Paris. Do not watch it under penalty of utter revulsion.
Go watch the Rush movie instead.
Absolutely, my God.
Fun. And it has an excellent soundtrack. I'm biased. Get over
I was going to say, if you like that kind of thing, classic rock.
Anyway, that's all we've got for this week, because, Lee isn't here. So until next week, which is Sunday, come listen to us talk the news. In the meantime, go watch a movie.
that's pretty much it.